I thought Hobbs and Shaw was the worst movie to ever exist. But then I walk into Fast X, waste of $300 million. Every single thing about this movie is why you should never ever become a filmmaker. It seems like to me living your life a quarter mile at a time has finally ran its course. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Critics with Agents of Fandom. I am your host, Isaac Joel, right here in Phoenix, Arizona. And today we are breaking down the latest installment of the Fast and Furious franchise, Fast X. There's a lot of history with this movie and a lot of drama that came out of it. Honestly, this is Frankenstein's monster. This should have never even existed. If you're familiar with Justin Lin directed, I believe, 3 or 4 of the Fast and Furious movies, something like that. And he was attached to this project. He was working on it. He was probably 50% into it, if I had to really guess. You know, it wasn't early on, it wasn't too late on, but it wasn't looking good when the guy decided that he was going to completely just leave production, and he made like a quick decision. It wasn't something he thought about. He literally was on set having a mental breakdown, was like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. This isn't good for me. I can't be doing this just for the dude's movie. And by dude, he's referring to Vin Diesel. But apparently a lot of the reasons for him leaving didn't even have to do with Vin Diesel, but more so with Universal Studios. Who do they get to come in and replace this director who has been bringing so much on screen when it comes to diversity, car chases, epic action sequences? Who do they get? The guy that directed The Incredible Hulk from 2008. Oof. You know, and I love The Incredible Hulk. I'm not even saying that that's a bad movie and we got a bad director. Like, no, I actually love that movie. But what relevancy does that have anything to do with this? To me, it seems like this guy hasn't done anything in years and has no business stepping into the Fast and Furious franchise thinking that he's got this under control. He doesn't. A lot of people have issues with these movies from the beginning. A lot of people will tell you like, oh, they've always been outrageous and ridiculous and just over the top and zany since the very, very beginning. But if you go back to the original genesis, the original concept for Fast and Furious, it was them trying to be Point Break, but with cars. Now, I think that is an actual really, really cool concept, something that did work and can work and should work even till this day. It should be the modern interpretation of this franchise, of what it is that it can be doing for every new generation, the way that, I don't know, the Scream movies kind of do for its audiences. I've been a hardcore fan of these movies, let me tell you, since the beginning. I saw Fast 5 in theaters. I grew up with my best friend who his parents were constantly building cars in their garage. So whenever I would spend the night on the weekends, I would witness them building these cars, and I had no idea what it was that they were doing or talking about. But then they would go drag racing and record it and edit it. And this is my first introduction into this world. And so I admire these people in this family for really introducing me to Fast and Furious, for introducing me to editing and everything. So I got a special connection to these movies. I really do, because I firmly love the themes of family, of action. I really do not mind when a villain becomes a hero and everyone turns sides. And I understand the contracts. I haven't even got started about the contracts between Vin Diesel, The Rock. I believe Jason Statham is even thrown in there. This doesn't really concern anybody else besides these 3 men who have these contracts put in place that they can never lose a fight. They can never outmatch the other guy. They can never do too many punches. They have to have a certain amount of hits and kicks and everything. That's ridiculous at that point. That is absurd. I will admit. Whatever. I can get past all that. Them pulling a bank vault down Rio. I'll argue and say the first 7 Fast movies are my favorite. I love Fast 5. I love Fast 6. I think Owen Shaw and Deckard Shaw are probably the baddest villains that you can get in these movies. The stakes have never been higher when the two brothers enter in, and it becomes a family feud and a vendetta between these two sides. They even build them going from the streets to working for the government perfectly. I really do think the scale and the high and the measure of everything has been honest and earned. Then you fast forward to Fast 8, The Fate of the Furious, after the great Paul Walker's death. God rest his soul. I truly believe the franchise died after Paul Walker died. Not a lot of people love the deep fake that Weta did. I personally thought it was really good for the time, considering that this, I think this is before Star Wars, before they ever started bringing actors from the dead beyond to finish these movies. And that's always been a controversial thing on like whether they should be doing that or just let the dead be dead. But in this case, it really does seem like Paul would have wanted them to finish that movie, Fast 7, and they did it perfectly. It was a good send-off for him, for the franchise, for the characters. It should have ended on that beautiful, emotional high note. But they thought it would be a great idea to continue the movie without one of the main characters. I would argue and say the character. I don't think it's Dominic Toretto. I never thought it was Dominic Toretto. I always thought that he was kind of second best. That's like putting Patrick Swayze in front of Keanu Reeves in Point Break. Like, no, it's Keanu Reeves. It's about the cop investigating the criminal. It doesn't matter how big of a name the actor is. There's a scale here that we measure based off of characters. But that has gone out the door with these movies. They don't care about that. They only care about who looks the toughest. It is with a heavy heart of mine, and I don't really relish saying this, but Fast X is probably the worst installment of the entire series, the entire saga, and I am including Hobbs and Shaw. I thought Hobbs and Shaw was the worst movie to ever exist. But then I walk into Fast X, and my God, is this the waste of $300 million? I could have thought of so many other ways that you could use this money responsibly and or even entertaining for the audiences, but they decide to just blow it on absolutely nothing. All the characters are separated. The dialogue is horrible. The script is outrageous. The delivery, the performance, the color grading, the visual effects, the cinematography, the editing. Every single thing about this movie is why you should never ever become a filmmaker. You clearly don't understand what it is that it is we're looking for as audiences. You don't know how to entertain people. You don't know how to actually properly write characters to have an overarching role, but this is just a complete waste of time. There's mind-numbing stupid, and then there's just Fast X. Jason Momoa gives probably the worst performance of his entire career. This is the worst I've ever seen an actor portray a character since Jim Carrey as the Riddler or Jared Leto as Paolo from House of Gucci. Homie, Jason Momoa deserves a Razzie for worst performance, worst actor of the year. That's a hot take. A lot of people actually really like Jason Momoa in this movie, and people are saying that he is the best part and their favorite part of this movie. That's okay. That's okay. This is completely opinionated. I am not here spewing things that I think are facts or whatever like that. I've been told by a lot of people, like, why are you taking this franchise so seriously? These are cars exploding and jumping off buildings and bridges, and you shouldn't take these movies so seriously. I'm sorry that I do. I really am. I can't help but take these movies so seriously because it seems like at times they want me to take them seriously, and at times they really want me to check out. Until audiences really demand a higher form of quality You're not going to get that at all with these movies. It just seems like Vin Diesel is the one that is driving this franchise, that is begging everybody to come back and reprise their roles and do this thing so that his character, Dominic Toretto, can look and be perceived as like a godfather type role that is overshadowing the family and protects everyone and loves everyone and do anything for them. And that's just total BS, man. It doesn't feel like that on screen, doesn't feel like that behind screen. And I really admire people like Dave Bautista, who is went from being a wrestler to one of the best actors, I think, of our generation. He really picks and chooses his projects carefully. He's looking at directors, specifically directors, and what it is that they are bringing new, what it is that he can do differently. And oh my God, is that guy really killing it out here? And I wish a lot of these guys looked at that. It seems as if they're just trying to replace The Rock. They're just trying to replace that big stature, that big, awesome performance that we have had before, that charisma. They're just trying to replace that with five different guys that are all just as big as him, that all have just as big personalities as him, but they're not doing the job as good as he would. I was okay with them doing a two-parter. Okay, fine, call it a day. But now they're talking about it being a three-parter because the studio apparently really liked what they saw. What is the criteria here? What is like that was so good? You're getting more money, man. Whatever it is, I can only imagine what the budget for the next movie is going to be. We have a lot of cameos. Now, in case you didn't realize, this is going to be a spoiler review. If you don't want to be spoiled, then get on out of here, which I don't even know why you're listening. I avoided spoilers completely before watching this, and I saw this a couple of weeks ago, but if I had jumped on Twitter that day, I totally would have, the surprise would have been ruined for me. So, and the cat's out of the bag. Honestly, everybody knows it at this point, which is very disappointing because it's probably the only interesting thing about the movie. But Black Adam makes a return. Oh, I'm sorry. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, fresh off his failure of Black Adam, makes a return to Hobbs in the Fast and Furious franchise. And it's probably the best scene, but it's not even anything for me to jump up and down. I was literally hyperventilating only at the pure fact that I don't know how they did it. It's not even like, oh, I'm excited for what they're going to do more. Maybe, potentially, they can revive the franchise and go back to its roots, but it's so far gone. We are so in the deep end at this point. I don't think the Rock's little cameo, which he's not interacting with anybody, he's not talking to anyone. It's literally just a solo thing that they could have shot last week and just inserted it. Not even that is going to save this franchise, even if he is a full-on important character in the second movie, which my theory is I completely doubt that that's going to happen. He might show up, but he's not going to interact with any of our main characters. He may interact with Michelle Rodriguez, someone super small. He may interact with Dominic's baby, with his child, which, let's talk about his kid. His kid looks absolutely nothing like him. Like, out of everything, out of all the disbeliefs that they have thrown at me, they want me to believe that this is his son. I don't think so. I don't think so. Gal Gadot makes a return as well, which makes absolutely no sense considering that she is full on dead, but nobody died. I know everyone says with the Marvel movies is like, oh, nobody's really dead. They could always come back or time travel or the multiverse or whatever like that. What the hell kind of technology exists in this world where people are just able to just walk away from any type of crash, any incident, any punches, and no scratches, no bruises, and be completely fine? Gal Gadot has absolutely nothing going on. Nobody wants to see her again as Wonder Woman. So what else does she have to do but make a return back to this series, and it's not even good. It's just her smiling at the camera. If anything, it's like a deep fake from the Shazam Fury of the Gods. Like literally you can cut and paste this woman out of it, which again, I don't hate her. I don't hate any of these people. I don't hate The Rock or Michelle Rodriguez or Vin Diesel or Jason Momoa or Brie Larson. I don't hate any of these actors. I actually think this is an ensemble cast, man. And I expect so much more out of it. But oh man, were my expectations just way too high for these movies? The Fast universe is just all superhero actors at this point. Literally everyone is either from the Marvel universe or the DC universe. And so at this point, not enough ibuprofen pills or alcohol is going to help get you through this. I cannot in good conscience recommend to you, you need to go see Fast X. It is the most hilarious, funny movie you'll ever see. It's so stupid. Go watch it. I'm not even like that. And I believe me, I like to watch ridiculous movies. I like to hate watch. I like to poke fun and have fun or whatever and be entertained. I can get past that. I truly can. But dear God, when you have Jason Momoa in a pink robe and Miley Cyrus buns, and he's painting his nails, and he's painting dead guys' nails, and he tapes margaritas around their hands, and he's on the computer and blowing his nails like that, and talking about how toxic masculinity is just so overrated. I wanted to check out. I'm Dante Ashante. I couldn't get past his performance in this. Everyone was like, okay, let us bring the worst thing on screen because people really want to see that. I don't get how they come up with these decisions in the writer's room. I really don't. Do they have their hand up their ass? Fast X deserves a 2 out of 10 for its just mind-numbing stupidity. The post-credit scene is the only thing redeemable about it that could maybe possibly a small chance save this franchise. But everything that I saw during those 2 hours was just like throw it out the window, man. The only thing that I probably really liked about it is John Cena. There's a whole side story where he's protecting Dominic's kid, and that whole relationship and dynamic I thought was the only thing on screen that's actually working. And maybe that is because John Cena is actually out here working with directors and working with other people and trying new things out, and we are seeing him actually put in an effort. So John Cena, I recognize you, man. I see you, man. I do see you, whether they see you or not, man. I see what it is you're doing. And I know it's a complete 180 from his evil character from the last movie and now all of a sudden, and that's what they do with all these movies. But listen, if there's one thing I have to compliment this movie about, it's not the color grade, it's not the cinematography, it's not the script, it's absolutely nothing. It's John Cena. I'll give it to John Cena. It's not Jason Momoa. Dear God, it's not that. Don't believe that for 1 second. It's John Cena. He's the only one that's actually throwing punches, that's actually trying to look badass, and he's having a pretty decent amount of a good time. Momoa is having, like, he's on vacation mode. He's on vacation mode in this film. I give this a 2 out of 10, and I hope I hope nobody sees this. The only way that they stop making movies like this is if nobody sees it. And I just saw an interview this morning from the Kelly Clarkson show, Vin Diesel saying that Paul Walker wanted them to make it to Fast 10. He always had that vision. I feel like that is true, but also I feel like that's a manipulated truth. I feel like you are bending reality in order for it to fit your own personal needs. And again, dude, I love you, Vin. I truly do. I want this saga to work. I want to see more of these movies. I don't care if you make Fast 15. I truly don't. The problem I have is with your production value, with the fact that you guys just don't, you're having a good time, but it doesn't seem like you care, that you're not thinking about the audience, that you're not thinking about the diversity, everything that it is you have built towards, and you're just making these CGI blockbuster movies. And I never wanted a CGI blockbuster film. It's good to have Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, and then I get to go watch maybe an independent action film called Fast X. It's very possible that this could happen. But thank you for watching. Please let me know your comments below or tweet at me at It's Isaac Joel. I'm very curious, what is your favorite Fast and Furious movie? And don't forget to subscribe and like the channel. I have been your host, as always, Isaac Joel, signing off. I'll catch you next time.